Good evening. My name is Suzanne Stevenson, and I will be speaking to you about the electronic health record systems that are being used at Kaiser Permanente system in Southern California. Recently, I had the privilege of interviewing the laboratory associate director and got to speak to her about their different systems. The first system they are using, which is being used in the hospital wide, it is called the KP Health Connect, which is pretty much the Epic system. And the second system they are using, which is used as a laboratory information system, is the Cerner Millennium. The third one, which is very specific, is not actually an EHR, but rather a middleware that is used to do auto verification. It's called Remesol by the Beckman Coulter company. Now, the favorite features of all these three systems, it turns out that for the Epic Health Connect system, one of the favorite feature that the staff loves about it is that it's super easy to use, and there's really any downtime or no unscheduled maintenance. As far as the Cerner Millennium goes, the laboratory staff loves it because the system is very robust, it's very highly intuitive, and on top of that, it's very graphic and visual, where I want to say, even if you're not that digitally savvy, if you used a computer before and you love icons, you can use the Cerner Millennial system. It is very easy to use. And with the Remesol middleware, as I said, because it is a middleware, it's just pretty much being used as an intermediary, or I should say an auto verification system. So you don't actually really play with that. It is used to auto verify laboratory results into the computer system. Least favorite feature? For the Epic system, or KP Health Connect, I was told that the least favorite feature is actually almost nothing. There's really ever any issues with Epic. And as far as the Cerner Millennium, it's really only when there is a certain downtime of the application or scheduled maintenance. And that's really about it. It seems like everyone loves these systems. Let's talk about education and the implementation of this. When these systems were brought on board into the health system, yes, we needed to educate the staff. So there was additional training involved for the staff that was necessary. On top of that, it is a requirement by the California State Regulatory Agency that there needs to be a staff competency annually that measures the proficiency of all healthcare associates for all three of these systems. Was the technology simple to use? Yes, it's very simple to use. Was it fast? It is very robust, so yes, it is very fast. Now, workflow of the staff. Let's talk about the workflow of the staff. There has not really been any job descriptions or workflow modifications changed. As you know, if you work in a healthcare system and we have these new softwares and new computer systems being implemented, it's a given that you are required, it's mandatory for you to make your workflow easier as a healthcare provider or as a healthcare associate to learn these systems, including EHRs, may it be laboratory information system, or whatever kind of software it may be that would help in making your healthcare workflow easier. So there's really no workflow modification, and there's really no change in job description whatsoever. Now these three systems obviously have improved patient care standards of the KP organization greatly by the increase of the efficiency. And how did they make it more efficient? It's because the high functionality of these three different systems or programs, I want to say. Last but not least, if there were any contingency plans of if there were any issues that they would encounter in these three different EHR or laboratory information systems. Let's talk a little bit about this. There needs to be a downtime protocol. Absolutely, because these are just digital platforms, and yes, once in a while it may go into an unscheduled maintenance, or it may just go down, power outage, catastrophe, hurricanes, whatever it may be. That may happen, and you might have a downtime system. Let's briefly kind of like give an itemized detail on what happens when each one of these three systems go down. From the laboratory standpoint, right? Because we're talking just about the laboratory staff. If the KP Health Connect, or if the Epic portion of the system actually goes down, guess what happens? It almost has no impact with the laboratory practice or with the laboratory turnaround time. Why? Because providers can just send the manual orders, and all these lab tests can still be ordered into the Cerner Millennium with no problem. Now, what if the Cerner Millennium goes down? Okay, so there it depends on which application of the system of Cerner. If one application is down, there is a certain workflow that is in place that would be replacing that particular other application, and also tests will still be able to be run anyways on the instrument analyzers of the lab, and the technologists would just have to fill out manual forms, and those results can still be given to the healthcare providers or the physicians or the doctors. Last but not least, it would be a disaster if the Remisol middleware is the one that is down. Why? Because that is the middleware that auto verifies especially 85% of the lab results. Now, if that is down, then a more serious downtime protocol has to be followed, in which every order needs to be inputted manually, not only in the computer system, also programmed manually in each instrument analyzer. And what does that mean? The turnaround time of getting those laboratory results is jeopardized, and the inefficiency of the laboratory also is increased because that middleware that makes the laboratory's life easier is down. And that concludes my presentation tonight. If you have any questions about these three different EHRs, please send me an email or wave your hand right now. I will be happy to answer more questions about the Kaiser Permanente Laboratory Information System and electronic health records. Thank you.